Welcome. Today we're going to draw a circle grid in preparation for drawing a mandala. I'm going to start with my protractor, my compass, my ruler, my pencil, and a slice of white paper. First, I'm going to measure the bottom length. We have about 8.5 inches, so 4.25 will do it. Let's put a little dash. And I'll do the same up top. And then I'll connect these two dashes with a line. Now I'm drawing all of my dashes and all of my lines much darker than I typically would so that you can see it on the video. But when you go ahead and follow this, try to draw your lines nice and light. All right, so down here we have about 7 inches, so 3.5 will do it. And then again, up at the top of the paper, 3.5. Let's connect those two dashes. So you see here we're creating two perpendicular lines that mark the center of my paper. I'm going to use those grid lines to line up my protractor. Now I have a 360-degree protractor, but any protractor will do. It's up to you how wide you draw your grid lines. I like to draw my grid lines every 10 degrees, but it really all depends on what you plan for your finished mandala project. Sometimes 20 degrees is just fine. It's really up to you and how much detail you'd like to add to your final mandala. Now that I've measured out my dashes in a circle, I'm going to connect them in order to create a grid that radiates out from the center of my paper. I'm going to the first dash to the right of the center line and the first dash to the left of the center line, and then also making sure I'm going through the very center point of my paper. Sometimes while you're drawing, it's easy to accidentally skip a dash. If you make sure you go through your center point, it's a little bit less likely that you'll accidentally skip a dash. I also hold my pencil on the top point and then move my ruler to my pencil. That helps remind me that I don't want to skip any dashes. Let's just go right to the next dash. Like with all the steps in our mandala, feel free to just take your time. The more exact you are here, the more exact your mandala will be later on. And again, for me at least, this drawing practice really is one to help me enjoy my time, to help me relax and de-stress. So if you focus on one step at a time, take your time on doing the very best you can on that particular step, your drawing practice will become a mindfulness practice, rather than simply, let's do this drawing just to get it done as fast as we possibly can. So take your time, enjoy, and focus on one step at a time. Now that we have our grid lines radiating out from the center, it's time to draw our series of concentric circles. So I go ahead and place my compass point right in the center of the page and draw my first circle. At the end of the circle, I do one twist on my compass and then draw my next circle. Usually when I'm drawing these very beginning circles, I turn my paper rather than turning the compass. And for the sake of the video, it's much easier for you to see the paper turning than to see my hand going right under the camera screen. But as I get my circles larger, I usually transition over to turning the compass rather than turning the paper. You do what's best for you. You do what's most comfortable. I like using this twist method of twisting one twist between each circle. I feel that it gives me a grid that is precise enough. However, some people do like to measure out the distance between the compass tip and the pencil tip to make sure that their grid lines are exactly measured out. It's up to you how you do this. As I said, for me, just this one twist method is sufficient. It's also up to you how many concentric circles you decide to draw. I typically draw out until just about the narrow width of the paper. However, you can stop before that. You could draw out throughout the entire paper. Again, it's all up to what you want for your final mandala project. If you follow along this series of videos, I'm going to be drawing a mandala layer by layer on a piece of white Bristol paper that measures 14 inches by 17 inches. So if you'd like to follow along, go ahead and draw a grid just like this on a large slice of white paper. Hope to see you next time. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.